Good evening. This is News. I'm Angela.
And I'm Max.
Tonight on News, is Bedford too noisy? We bring you a special report.
Our reporters investigate the causes of antisocial behaviour in the town.
And we head to the Great River Ouse to investigate what's inside of the river.
But first, today's headlines.
Max rickrolled 3 of his friends.
Angela had rice with chicken curry for dinner.
Hanso is fixing a hole in a jumper.
Sever was listening to the diving comedy on repeat.
And finally, literally thousands of people gathered at the Place Theatre in Bedford for the launch of a new local television news show. The crowd was described as mainly very happy, and so far the show has been a big success.
And now a special report on noise pollution from our reporters Miriam, Sophia and Ellie.
We wanted to investigate why Bedford is so noisy.
Next to my house there's always builders. It's very noisy when they're drilling.
Where I live is pretty noisy and I can always hear the trains and people fighting.
We decided to start our investigation by looking around the streets ourselves, finding noise. Today we went on a trip, and on the trip we went to go see all the different noises. So we went to see construction sites, trains and cars.
We are listening to the noise of the car that are passing.
Motorcycles as well.
And we're in front of a school called Priory Primary.
Which is our school.
Yeah.
It's too noisy, and when we're trying to do something in class then we can hear it and it distracts us.
Yeah.
And then everybody starts talking about it. We're near our school, and somebody's building a house. People are building houses, and we can hear lots of drilling.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying.
We don't like it because it's too loud and people are tapping too much. And it's too much noise.
That's it.
We're here at the train station area.
And there's usually lots of noise from the trains. There's a few which are really long, which makes a really loud sound. So the houses are like right over there, so they're just like 1 minute away.
We don't like this place because it's too noisy and it's a lot of dust and it's drilling.
And there's a lot of scaffolding. They're always drilling and everything at night, and people might not be able to get to sleep.
I think it's very frustrating because if you wake up in the morning to go somewhere, you can't because you're too tired from all this noise.
If there's lots of noise, then there's people trying to stop it. So we try to speak to some of those people and find out what they're doing.
Where's all the noise coming from?
A lot of it's traffic noise, where there are more cars and lorries on the roads, and there are quite often problems with the insulation in properties. So that's the walls between houses and flats, where they're quite thin and the noise passes between properties. So people don't realise sometimes they're being noisy, but their neighbours can hear them and it bothers them.
Do you know how much noise affects people like us living in here in the centre of Bedford?
We do get noise complaints about road noise, railway noise, and noise like that. Unfortunately, there's not quite so much we can do about noise from cars and traffic, but we do get lots of complaints from families who have children, who the children can't sleep at night because the neighbours perhaps are being noisy, playing loud music, having a party. Then the children are tired when they go to school. So noise can affect every part of your life, your ability to concentrate at school or at work. and we do our best to help as many people as we can to get the matters resolved.
It seemed like noise, it's a big problem affecting lots of people. So we decided to go right to the top to find out what has been done about it.
You've got hundreds of questions there. How many questions are there?
1, 2,
97 or something. So my name's Dave Hodson and I'm the elected Mayor of Bedford Borough.
Do you know how bad the noise pollution is in Bedford?
It varies in different places and everybody gets annoyed by different bits of noise. Some people, if there's noise, just can't sleep at all or can't relax their concentration. So it affects different people in different ways. I think it's a big mental health issue, particularly if the noise. So there's all kinds of different noise pollution. And it depends where you live in the borough. So some places are very, very quiet and you'll only hear birds and animals, and other places have a lot of traffic going around. So it will vary, but I think the Western world has a high level of noise pollution.
Is there lots of noise next to your house?
It seems to be only when I'm trying to go to sleep or want to stay asleep. So my house backs onto the council depot. And last night they were gritting and they were filling up their lorries at 12:30. But it's interesting, it affects me, it doesn't affect my wife.
Can you hear the noise from your office?
No, I'm working at home mostly now. In the office here, I'm on the 3rd floor and I overlook the river, and this building's between us, so I don't think I hear any noise in my office upstairs.
How can we stop the noise?
So keeping your speed down is an important thing. It's safer for people, it uses less fuel, better for the environment, better for noise. So the noise at 20 miles an hour is way less than the noise at 35 or 40. And obviously 35 or 40 around your school, for example, would be illegal. And then on the railways, having electric trains would obviously be better. We've got electric for the Thames Link and for the Corby line. It'd be really good to have the whole of East Midlands trains electrified. And if we get East-West Rail, making sure that's electrified from day one, because that makes less noise.
As Mayor, can you do anything about that?
Well, we're doing a fair bit about the speed of traffic, so we're putting average speed cameras. We've put some money in tonight's budget for another set, some more sets of average speed cameras. They're expensive, they're about £80,000 a pair, but we have a waiting list of about 70 different sets that people want, and we've only got money for 3. Everybody is wanting to know, will their set of cameras be one of the 3 we're doing? And if I've got 70 on the list, I'm going to have to say no to 67 and yes to 3. So 67 people will not, or 67 villages will not like me, and 3 will. But we're constantly trying to see if we can get more money and try to make them more effective.
I think Mayor Dave was a truthful person. I definitely think that he's trying his hardest to get the noise down. I hope in the future children don't have so much noise anymore. This is Miriam, Sophia and Ellie reporting from the town centre. Back to you in the studio.
And since that report was completed, Bedford has just continued to be as noisy as was before. What do you think about noise pollution, Angela?
It's really annoying.
Interesting.
We've just received this breaking news. Dave has no comment about Boris Johnson. And now I'm handing over to Max for the weather. Max?
Thank you, Angela. Just walking. Just went down the steps. I'm going up the steps. I went throughout the door. I see drinks, I see chocolates, sweets, I see ice cream, I see 2 men, I see the green room, and I've just came out now. There's a blue light shining down on me and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cars and 1 van from what I can see. It's really cold and I see 6 bottles. It's really dark. I can barely see anything. and I see a sign, I see a bird in its nest, and I see someone's light on in their house or flat. And that's all for the weather report. Back to you in the studio, Angela.
Thanks, Max. And now a report on antisocial behaviour from our reporters, Ava, Ismail, Zahir and me.
We are worried about antisocial behaviour in Bedford.
I wanted to investigate antisocial behaviour because it happens a lot. I wanted to find out why people do it. We looked at the crime figures for our neighbourhood.
The crime statistics said there is more crime in Bedford than Luton. It makes me think that Bedford is a less safer place than other towns and cities. We decided to speak to the police to find out why antisocial behaviour is a problem.
Have you ever not been able to solve a crime?
Have I never been? Yes, lots of times, yes.
Is antisocial behaviour a problem in Bedford?
It's a problem everywhere. It's something that police officers deal with in their daily job to some degree every single day. So yes, I would say so. But it's something that we work hard to educate people about and try and reduce the level of antisocial behaviour, because then everybody can live a better life. It affects everybody in one way or another, doesn't it?
Why do people do antisocial behaviour?
Why do they do it? I guess they do it for lots of reasons. Sometimes with young people we find that they get wrapped up in the group, so if one person does it then they follow and they get involved in it, whereas if they were on their own they wouldn't generally do it. And some adults have, like we've said, there are community issues that may mean that some adults behave in an antisocial way because they're unhappy or because they're down on their luck, they have lost their job, and it then ends up that they're trying to get their life back together again, and they act in a way where they wouldn't normally act.
After speaking to Viv, we decided we wanted to know more about why people end up doing antisocial behaviour. So we went to speak to Claire Turpin, a youth justice worker at Bedfordshire Youth Offending.
Have I ever been the victim of antisocial behaviour? Yes, I would say I have, and I think a lot of us can say that, because it can stem from anything from name calling right the way through to perhaps having something stolen from you. And verbal abuse, I've been the victim of verbal abuse before. So somebody saying something unpleasant or racist in the street is actually a crime. A lot of people don't actually recognise it as a crime, but to harass somebody or to racially abuse them, or to stalk or to follow them, these are all crimes that happen on an everyday basis, but not everybody recognises it as a crime or antisocial behaviour. But yes, I have.
Why do people start doing antisocial behaviour?
So if you're talking about young people, some young people say there's nothing to do, there's not much clubs or activities or youth clubs happening, so they meet their friends, they might meet their friends in the park or in the street, and then some people don't like them gathering, so they might want them to be moved on. So it could be a case of them being bored. Some people perhaps like the challenge of doing daring behaviour, so they take risks, which isn't always advisable. Again, that could lead to antisocial behaviour. Some people might be using substances such as drugs or alcohol. Again, that could cause antisocial behaviour, could cause noise, it could cause... People commit crimes from all sorts of backgrounds, so it would be unfair for me to say it was a certain group or certain area of people who do that, but it could be anything from very young people to older people, although young people do get blamed for a lot of the crimes that happen, but it isn't always. So when you think of things like knife crime or thefts or muggings or anything like that, a lot of people do feel it's young people that commit a lot of those, but not always. Some people might commit crimes because, like I say, they're looking for activities, they need something to do, something to occupy themselves with. Some people may have mental health issues, some people may have substance misuse, drug or alcohol issues. It could be a lot of things. Some people can get drawn into crime as well, so they can be encouraged to do criminal activity, especially a lot of very young people, by older people, to go out and do things that they wouldn't usually do. There's so many different reasons that crimes are committed. Some of them it might take some work to get them to understand the impact of what they've done. So why it's hurtful to others, or how they've harmed or how they've affected other people. Some of them might not see it that way, so people have different reasons for committing crimes, or they might feel differently about it, but we work with them to help them to understand why what they did was wrong and why they shouldn't do it again.
How can we stop people doing antisocial behaviour?
How can we stop them? Street lighting. Community, we used to have something called Community Watch, where neighbours would look out to see if anything was happening in the community and report it if it happened. That doesn't really happen now. So there's ways we can perhaps keep ourselves safe, but again, the community, it might be something we need to do on a wider basis.
My advice is try staying out of antisocial behaviour.
This is Angela, Ava, Zahir and Ismail signing off back to the studio.
Bye!
Sports news now. And Bedford Blues beats Richmond 38-10 in the RFU Rugby Championship. Elsewhere, Max played football with some friends in the park. In other sports news, Zahir knocked Miriam out of a tower in Fortnite, and then Miriam did the same thing back. Here's a short clip. And that's the end of the sports news. Now back to Max for an update on the weather.
Thank you, Angela. I'm at the bus station right now. The weather's like the same as it was before. I'm going inside it right now. I see people. I've just went through the automatic doors, and I see a pigeon, some teenagers, someone wearing a headset, eating some crisps. I see people waiting for their bus to go to their work or something. There are places to go like Steningtons, Fen Lake, Biggle, Swade, Great Demon. Now it's just, Bidwell, Swade, Fen Lake, Gateway Airport, and blah, 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 blah. And now I see a bin that says paper cans, litters, and litter. And I see a white pigeon. And white pigeons are cool. And I see other pigeons. I see a lot of bird poop here. I see someone wearing a light green jacket for like one of those workers at construction. Very surprising. I'm very surprised it's quite quiet here. I thought it would be loud. It's starting to get really dark right now, so I'm going to head back home. And back to you, Angela, in the studio.
Thanks, Max. And now we turn to our final in-depth report of the evening. We have been thinking about the Great River Ouse and trying to answer the question, what's inside of the river? Here with a special report are our reporters, Max, Shemi and Miriam.
We've been investigating the question of what's in the river.
I wanted to investigate the river because I wanted to know more about the river. I wanted to see the otter who lives in the river. I wanted to one day swim in the river. I wanted to find new wildlife that lives in the river.
I think it's important to Bedford because it's in the centre, so that's why I think it's important to Bedford. We decided to start an investigation by looking at the river ourselves. It looks
greenish in
green
color,
and,
bluish in color, and whitish in color.
Yeah.
All of them in
All of
that.
them.
That way is
It's kind of
white,
reflecting
that's
as
blue,
well.
that's yellow, and that's green.
Kind of reflecting
Oh,
buildings.
and that one's just clear.
Yeah, it's just the river's shining very brightly.
It's shining like it's white, silver.
I think in the river there's a lot of, like, it's probably a lot of other sea creatures like fish.
Well, we can't see any fish jumping out. Fishy, 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 fishy.
We couldn't discover much by just looking at the river. So we decided to ask some people in Bedford about what they knew about the river.
Good morning, what's your name?
I'm Barbara.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Sun is shining, so I'm happy today.
What do you think about the river?
What do I think about the river? It's lovely on a day like today when the sun is shining. I like to see the rowers. There's no rowers out today, but I like a walk by the river in the sunshine, watch the rowers and see the swans. They all came out and thought I was going to give them some, they thought I was going to give them some food, but I haven't got any with me.
What do you think about the river?
I think it's lovely. I think it's one of the best things about Bedford. It's great.
What do you like about the river?
Well, seeing lots of people walking about, all the birds, everyone feeding the birds even though they're not supposed to.
What do you think about the river?
It's excellent. I was born here. I don't live here now, but I always come back and visit it now and again.
How are you today?
I'm alright, thanks.
What do you think about the river?
It's alright. It's a nice river.
What do you think is in the river?
Water.
What's in the river? Well, I think there are fish. I have seen people fishing.
What do you think is in the river?
Oh, that's a really good question. All sorts of wildlife, I'd imagine. Probably a bit of junk as well, the odd trolley.
What's in the river? Well, it's water, isn't it?
What do you think is in the river?
Ducks, fishes, swans, shopping carts, dead people.
In my interview with the people Mira and me stopped on the road, most of them didn't even know anything about the river. We decided to ask an expert on the river to know what he thought was in it.
What do you do for the river?
So I'm a fisheries ecologist, so that means that I study the river and I try to improve it for fish. So things like the best way to conserve a species is to improve its habitat. Same if you're improving populations of lions or butterflies. If you improve the habitat, the animal will thrive. So my job is to improve rivers to help fish thrive.
Are there any endangered animals in the river?
So the European eel is a good example. There's a fish called the spined loach. But moving further away from that, there's animals like the otter, which has been had a really good recovery in the last 10 or 20 years, and we find otters all the way through the Great Ouse catchment now. Other animals, important animals like water vole and kingfisher.
What do you think the strangest thing you found in the river is?
We have found bombs, guns, all sorts of stuff. So it's amazing what you find in rivers. And don't forget, rivers have been there for thousands of years. Bedford is 1,000 years old. Everything that goes into a river generally stays in the river. So they're a really good way of understanding history of a town, history of the country and how we lived. So there's all sorts in the river and you just never know what you'll find.
According to Kai, there are lots of amazing things in the river. But there was only one way to be sure he was right.
We went to meet Caroline and Trish, who go swimming in the river every day. We asked them what they saw in the river when they were swimming.
Seen an odd dead fish. Well, you normally smell it first.
We pick up rubbish. We find a lot of dog balls. Sometimes we find love letters. People have written letters and thrown them in. Some people put things in for ceremonies, I think religious ceremonies, flowers sometimes. So you can find surprising and wonderful things when you're swimming.
Have you encountered any dangerous or weird-looking animals in the river?
Oh, yes.
Snake?
Yes.
We've seen a snake a couple of times, but we think they're harmless. We say to each other, just a water snake. But they always dart across away from you. So it hasn't been scary.
But it's not the size of a python. They're quite small, thin snakes. Yeah.
Have you seen the otter who lives in the river?
I haven't.
I've seen it swim in here. And you hardly see it. You just see the head and you see the wake, and you know it's the otter. You can tell it's the otter. And it normally swims in when the swans have laid eggs. Yeah, so we've seen it, but fleetingly.
Why do you like swimming in the river?
You can have that one.
It's a bit of a challenge. I'd always dreamt about being one of those people that swims every day. And I don't know why it took me so long to become that person. But yeah, it's what Caroline says. It's that feeling of freedom. It's a feeling, I mean, it's always beautiful. Even on a cloudy, rainy day, seeing the drops of water hit the surface and splash up. It's just, we're always laughing and happy when we go. And for us, we do it in the morning. It's a great start to the day. You just feel
alive.
Happy and alive.
Yeah. We discovered from Caroline and Trish that there's water snakes and people throw love letters into the marina they swim in and the river. And from Kai, we learned that there's dead cows, probably broken cars, lots of weaponry and bombs from World War II, and from the rock pops we did next to the View Cinema, we learned no one knows anything about the river. Most of the stuff we found out I didn't know were in the river.
Our investigation made me want to know more about the river. This is Miriam, Shelmy and Max reporting from the Great Ooze. Back to the studio.
We're coming to the end of this evening's show, so let's go back to Max for one last update on tonight's weather. Max?
Hey guys, back at the studio. How's your day been? I hope everyone's day is going good. I hope you guys like the show. So now I'm going to go back to my house. Just close the door and I'm walking through into the other room where the curtain is open. I see my mum doing work. There's shoes, there are pictures, flowers. Nothing really special and a candle. Now I'm gonna walk in the living room. I see a sofa, pillows. Now I'm going to go upstairs. Go upstairs right now. I'm gonna go in my room. I just opened the door. Now I'm gonna go play my Xbox with my friends. So, bye Angela, bye everyone. See you guys later in the studio. Bye.
It's nearly time for us to leave you, but before we do, we just have enough time to take a look at the headlines from tomorrow's papers. The A4280 closes after a major pileup. Schools shut down because of lockdown. 100% off everything. 1 million sweets fall from the sky in Bedford. Pets for everybody. Boris Johnson is no longer Prime Minister. COVID is still here. Everyone on Earth falls over. Terrible floods as the River Ouse bursts its banks. Trains and buses are everywhere. 100% more on everything. The UK's 17th lockdown begins. Tornadoes appear across Bedfordshire. Dangerous animals are on the loose. Everyone is being very loud. Scientists create the world's smallest ant. Zombies. Russia declares war on England and all of its allies. All the bungalows are destroyed. Elon Musk invents flying cars. A murderer in Bedford kills 245 people. COVID will never go away. Donald Trump tries to nuke Bedford. The Queen dies. I am declared the Queen of England. Strange and beautiful new animals comes to Bedford. Elon Musk beats Jeff Bezos in celebrity MMA fight. Elon Musk owns the entire world. Everyone in the world says hi at the same time. Aliens arrive. COVID is finally gone. Elon Musk dies. Animal-human hybrids walk the earth. The world is nuked by flowers. England is a flower field. A new colour is discovered. The whole world changes colour. The sky turns into a rainbow. The whole world turns black. Black holes take over the world. The world explodes. Everyone moves to Saturn. And that's all from tomorrow's headlines. Thank you for watching News. Have a very good evening. Bye.